responding to disaster, eventually developing the resilience of communities. That's it. So I'll be talking about connecting this culture in relation to friendship network, food sharing, in the language that we are doing right now, sense of place. So, okay. I am very happy to share with you what I have written and published in 3 weeks historical review. I think it was the second time I published with our president here, BIARI. So here, I would like to set then the direction of what I'm going to discuss. So from a social science perspective, a disaster tests the adaptive capacity and resiliency of communities to live and survive in a precarious environment. And then I refer here the work of Greg Blanco with this concept of the culture of disaster. And this is very important, where natural hazards are simply accepted aspects of daily life. But for some, they critique this kind of statement, but for some, they accepted this. So there are different perspectives on how the culture of disaster is being, being discussed in the academy as well as in projects in relation to disaster risk management. But the point here is that for Filipinos, it seems that disaster is already part of our lives and we were able to adapt to it. So somehow, I would say that resiliency becomes automatic with it. But let me move forward. So let me start, although this was discussed most likely yesterday, what I think about disaster. So disaster here, I would take it as either natural or human induced, but the focus of my talk this morning is on the natural type of disaster. And what is very important, that this is sometimes sudden and destructive. That statement may be questioned also, because how about if disaster is always happening every year? So it's no longer sudden. But the point is sudden because don't exactly know what time, which place, but disaster is always coming to the Philippines every year. And you know that already, how many typhoons do we have and the consequences of this being experienced by the people. But not everyone experiences the same degree of disaster. So we have the concept of disaster risk, which is actually very relative to the hazards we experience and the exposure of a community or people, and likewise their vulnerability to this. So we're showing here that disaster risk is actually equal to hazards, the exposure that we have to it, and how vulnerable people are. So the risk, therefore, is relative, dependent on the situation or the context of people we're talking about. For purposes of analysis, so that we can understand better how people respond to disasters, I took this distinction between the principal and the consequential impact of natural hazard. And remember that even though there's a hazard, but there are no communities or people around, and therefore nothing has been damaged. So perhaps we could say that disaster is absent because we consider disaster as a result of the damages and losses that people have experienced. So first, to have impact on communities are what we call principal natural hazard. And examples of this are typhoon, drought, storm surge, and landslide. So directly hitting a particular community and causing physical damage, that's one. But eventually, more impact is being experienced, and I call that one as consequential. And this includes the hazards of flooding, then we have food scarcity, and then ailments, death. These are results of the principal hazard. So in this regard, because people comes from different walks of life and have different cultural background and environmental conditions, we could expect that we could have different modes of preparedness or responses to the results of impacts of hazards. And this is the point, and I think many of us have realized or have observed this one, and people are questioning, or some are questioning, if really, people who are supposedly victims of disasters are stubborn. That's why I did not leave a particular place. So the point is that not everyone, from our perspective, or from the perspective of outsiders, are not responding well or according to their standards to the impact of disaster. So they perceive stubbornness of disasters in households to evacuate or relocate opens up this question. What really keeps them to remain given their resources and capacities? Okay, so this is a question being asked by outsiders. Why do they remain in the place which is already declared as hazardous and prone to some problems? Why would they not relocate or move somewhere? In fact, we have what we call no-build zones, and after a disaster, after things turn to become normal, they go back to the same place. So that's a question really that matters perhaps social scientists or social scientists for that matter, to understand why people would insist to live in a place that is really prone to disaster. So we could go back to the concept of I talk about the culture of disaster, that disaster is really part of Filipino lives. But again, as I've said, many are questioning this one because it seems like accepting the fact that we are really in that kind of situation. So that would be the point I'm going to argue here. But are they really stubborn? These poor people or communities remain in a place declared to be disaster-stricken or disaster-prone are really stubborn. And how can they be convinced? Or what is it that have to be offered to them so we could convince them to relocate or move out? Just recently, I think you've heard of the landslide that happened in Cebu. For many years, it was already declared to be the possibility of that landslide, but they remain in that area. Is this a manifestation? So the other side of looking at it is that, is it a manifestation of the resiliency of these people? Who, from the perspective of outsiders, is not, particularly those who are very conscious about safety. What keeps them strong and confident that nothing will happen? Ironically, if something would happen, they would turn their backs and say, what is the government doing about this? It's the government, it is the government that wanted them to leave the place, but then they refuse, they remain, but something bad would happen, they will question the government. So, is this something cultural? Is it something cultural? Now, let's talk about first resiliencies, again to contextualize what I'm going to discuss. It is the ability to recover after a disaster. And that could be seen in this kind of formula that there is the reduction of vulnerability by the kind of adaptive mechanisms or strategies that people are doing at particular time and certain uncertainties. In other words, resiliency is equal to vulnerability being reduced by adaptive capacity over time and in certain situations. And these are the conditions, therefore, that we could consider in studying resiliency. Is the ability to absorb disturbances and retain more or less, not exactly the same structure and functions after a disaster, the capacity for self-organization and to adapt to stress and chains. That would be a definition or our concept of resiliency. So, let me go now to my concern. So I would be, there's so many types of different kinds of natural hazards, so I'm going to focus more on flood. This is actually the kind of work we're doing right now in Negros Island. So we're looking into riverside communities. And remember that every year we always experience flooding caused by heavy rains or typhoon. And sometimes people are wondering, there's no typhoon, but then the river flooded. It's because in the mountain areas, flooding poured. And the volume of water that goes down to the lowland is so huge that this had caused so much problem in the community. So I'm showing you here some pictures, particularly that side. This one is about 8 kilometers upward from the BIARI city, where we have resorts. And the resort is actually along the river. And so when there was this flash flood, so much damage had happened. And then this one is actually part of Banica River, exactly in the center of Dumaguete. Where every time there would be heavy rains up in the mountains of Valencia, flooding would certainly occur. So the impact of river flash flooding and overflowing of water, first, I think, in our contention, would always have a variable impact. Not everyone along the river or settlements along the river would experience the same impact. Because this is related to the topography, related to the kind of physical characteristics that area has. So it is geographically determined, and therefore there would be differential pressures on households, and therefore settlements along the different sections of the river would not experience the same impact of flash flooding. The point I'm raising here is that later on, I would argue that it is possible that kinship assistance is going to take place in that particular area. And I'm going to bring you back to what happened to the Bataks of Palawan, where I'm going to use as an illustration that Filipinos actually have still that kind of notion of sharing during times of disaster. So, the hypothesis I am positing here is that less vulnerable households could provide assistance to heavily affected residents within their kinship network, particularly those belonging to lower income households and more devastated communities. When I started with the argument that settlements or communities along a river would not experience the same kind of impact because of their conditions, geographically and economically. Therefore, some of these households would be sources of assistance to other households that are grossly affected. So why is it possible to be like that? Well, among us Filipinos, we have what we call collectivist culture. Collectivist. This might be disappearing in some places or in some groups in the Philippines, but traditionally, I would say that we are a collectivist. We are in a collectivist culture. Filipinos belong to a collectivist culture, and this is evident in social dynamics and sense of belongingness during the relief distribution, for example, in typhoon affected Philippines. And there's a paper published by our colleagues, by Paul Curato and Setwin Calamba, talking about how a island community experienced no casualty during that time. So I will just mention that later. And during times of scarcity, however, in the worst scenario, collectivist value decline. It's just like, when really in need, our sense of sharing, our sense of being collective would reduce. And where would that go? It goes to our family. So assistance is reduced to closest relatives. Closest to blood relatives particularly, away from relatives by affinity. I'm going to illustrate that later. So why do we have this? Now, Filipinos have this kinship network, and we all know about it, being Filipinos, that we have bilateral kinship network. That everyone in the community is our relative. And in fact, commonly we would hear foreigners marrying Filipinas, complain or ask a question, I thought I'm marrying you. Why is it I'm marrying the whole village? And that's very commonly observed or noted. Just recently I had experience at hosting a family from UK, our pamangkin, get married to a British national. And well, Ross was very excited, was very happy what's happening because he said, back home we're alone. Here it's like fiesta. It's always a feast every day, and we have so many relatives coming together. Well, in some places, negative experiences are happening, but I think generally we are good with that. Praising our relatives with both lines, maternal and maternal. Plus, religious rituals. Maninoy or Ninong, and then Nina. And this would extend to closest friends in the family. So, it's really very obvious or very possible that small rural village has population related either by consanguinity or affinity, and the problem really arises on where to get a partner. So most likely they would get a partner outside and bring it. But what happened is that usually it is the husband that is brought by the wife in the community. And that can be seen in the number of relatives that we found in the distribution of relatives. There are more maternal relatives rather than paternal relatives. I think you know or would agree with me that Filipinos are not necessarily patriarchal, but matricentric. And sometimes there's a fear that if you don't have a daughter, you have a problem getting old. Usually it's a daughter that would live with the family of orientation. But this is something that we have to put forward. This is like that. Right now we're doing a study of the elderly, and we'd like to test that one. Who would most likely provide health care or health support to elderly? The daughter or the son? Most likely we hypothesize that physically the daughter, materially the son, who is married and stayed somewhere. Usually there is somebody, the daughter, that will live near the parents. This might not be true in urban areas, but most likely this is true in rural communities, where collectivist culture is present. So networks of families promote cooperation, solidarity, and survival, biologically and socially. And this is something that is unwritten. And we have so many values that talks about wala kang utang galo, wala kang pakialam, or something, I mean, there is a written that sometimes become guilty if you cannot comply with these value requirements or values of helping our closest family members. So there is a collective consciousness, or Durkheim's notion of collective consciousness, by kinship ties. And this becomes our social security bond in times of disaster. And this is, this usually comes out when times are really needed, by which survival of the family requires. So we have this what we call in the terms of Nicole Corrado and Secretary Calamba, that there is what we call cultural codes of cooperation as idealized. And those found in Purok system. Actually, there's studies about Purok. Purok is like this town, barangay, then Purok. Purok actually is a political unit. It's not a political unit because it's a barangay, which is considered as a smallest political unit in the Philippines. But for purposes of doing community works, barangays are subdivided into Puroks. This also could be called a city. And in that study, we have of an island community. Camotes Island in the Visayas, there is zero casualty. And that community had won an award for what they were doing. And it's all about cooperation in that community, doing things together. And if you want to go deeper in that community, I would argue that the families are there. I mean, most likely, a city or a Purok is composed of few families, so related. If you go to Mindanao and if you go to a certain barangay, you will notice that they're all related because during the time that they move or migrated to Mindanao, just like in Manila, they first go to their relatives and perhaps expand later. So in Mindanao, you could see different linguistic distribution of communities, that certain communities filled with Locos or Cebuano or Ilocano and so on. And that goes also back to the family organization. So let me bring you to the case of the Batak. So to provide you the idea that there is cultural context for our, for our being so collective, for our ability to share during times of disaster to our family members within our kinship network. So the case of Batak community in Palawan may show, at the time we did the study, I didn't do the study, I was an assistant of my professor at the time, but I was there during field work. The authentic pictures of food sharing, and it shows that at the time when they are yet less exposed to cash economy and less contaminated by other cultures, sharing of food is very common among Batak households. And however, as the agricultural cycle would move, the sharing also changed in terms of structure. I'm going to show that later. So, this is an old picture of Batak. And my professor was Dr. Romy Cadena, and the Bataks are in Central